One key investor and proponent of Bitcoin is Michael Saylor, who turned his software business MicroStrategy into one of the world's largest public holders of Bitcoin. At the end of March, the company had over 129,000 Bitcoin valued at nearly $3 billion. Saylor has bet big, borrowing millions from crypto bank Silvergate to buy more, but recent declines have raised questions over whether it is Bitcoin or bust. Michael Saylor, CEO of MicroStrategy, joins us now. Michael, great to have you on the show. Let's just rule that out to begin. Can we say no matter what the level of Bitcoin, there will be no bust?
We're in here for the long term. Bitcoin's going to outlast all of us. I'm quite sure of that.
And what about sitting on paper losses of, what, $1 billion in the Bitcoin portfolio? Can I just confirm you've not sold any? So it is paper losses, it's not been crystallized?
No, we're not a Satoshi. We're committed for the long term. I think you got to step back and look at the big picture. The S&P's got the worst start since 1970, so we're witnessing the birth of a new industry during the worst financial crisis of 50 years. If you roll the clock back to 1900, there were 3,000 car companies. When Spindletop was discovered in Beaumont, Texas in 1901, 1,500 oil companies were launched in a single year. Lots of them went bust, 99%, but the rest is history. We've got cars. Oil business is a huge business. It changed the future of the world. And if you look back 100 years, no one's going to remember who made money or losing money building New York City. And I think that people that understand Bitcoin understand that this is the same thing. This is a totally new industry.
I mean, there's many comments I could make there. I guess the great financial crisis could be argued to be the biggest financial crisis that we've seen over the last 50 years. But I think the bigger point here is that this is going to hang around for longer. What you said is that people understand that, but the problem is many people don't. And if you look at some of the events that we've seen over the past month, it plays into all the stereotypes of this being the Wild West, deeply unregulated, over-leveraged. Can you sympathize with those that look at this and say, I never understood it, it's obviously going to zero, and it's completely corrupt, and this proves it. The bubble popped.
Okay, well, from first principles, Bitcoin is digital energy. It's incorruptible, indestructible, programmable. It lasts forever. And, the average person has to sift through thousands of stocks, thousands of coins, thousands of investment properties. All of these have risk. There's a lot of confusion. But one thing we're not confused about is that Bitcoin's 100 times bigger than the next digital energy network. It's the dominant one. And, if you're looking at it as an investor, well, what is your choice? You can't dollar cost average into commercial real estate. You can't stockpile oil for the next decade. Bitcoin, on the other hand, is something that you can accumulate monthly. You can keep it for your entire life. And so it's fundamentally different than anything that's come before it.
Michael, I understand everything you're saying, and I think the big sigh ahead of you saying that said everything about the questions that I'm asking. But again, I'd go back to the people that have never invested in this, and that's the vast majority of investors out there still. And they look at this and say, just because Bitcoin, as an example, is way bigger than the other, 19,000 digital currencies or tokens out there, doesn't make it a good investment prospect. So I guess I asked the same question, and you have to give me a different answer, and I apologize for that. Does Bitcoin go back up, and does it take regulation of all kinds to get us there, to rule out some of the obvious criticisms that have been pushed over the last 2 months?
Yeah, I think it's clear that people are confused, and regulation will be constructive because clarity will help the market mature. The people are confused about what's a currency, what's a commodity, what's a security, what are tokens. There's 19,000 cryptos out there. I think we can see in the crypto crash that the average investor has been taken advantage of by traders and by wildcat crypto banks. And as the regulators come in and they clear up this confusion and they introduce rules of the road, it's going to be good for mainstream investors. It's going to be good for corporations. It will catapult the industry from the entrepreneurial offshore anything goes stage into a institutional mature asset class.